Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out on Royal Wedding Saturday and at 11 a.m. Obviously, I'm here. Well, I'm Devin Ivey. I'm a writer for Vulture.com, and I am obviously here with the lovely trio of ladies from the bold type. We have Aisha D, Meghann, Fahy, and Katie Stevens. And for the next 60 minutes, we're going to talk about, obviously, the show, maybe tease a little bit of season 2, and then for the last maybe 5 to 10 minutes, I'm actually going to throw it out to you all for some Q&A time, so start thinking of some questions now. And I guess to start, very pressure, think of the questions. Before we get into the intricacies of the show, tell me this. How many times did you have to film that subway screaming scene? And did you lose your voices?
Approximately 75,000 times.
But we actually had
tears.
Yeah, it was like 3 a.m. and we had like a very limited window to get it because they had to shut down the subway and people were gonna have to like start going to work. So we had like 3 hours to get it, that and a bunch of other shots.
It was, I'm not gonna say it was traumatic, but it was traumatic. Night.
They had a subway car that was like kind of like
holding
on the tracks so that when we weren't shooting, we could sit in it.
That was fun.
But I had these heels on that were like this high.
Yeah.
And so like between takes, I remember like one of the crew members was like throwing me, like holding me like a princess and like carrying me to the subway car.
Oh, those shoes were awful.
They were made of literal chains.
No, they had like spikes on them.
I do remember a photo being released where we're all in our comfort heels. And our comfort heels were like these ugly, like really thick-heeled, I don't even know what they were. They weren't Crocs, but they might as well have been.
Comfort, yeah.
They had they were made of like canvas or something, just with like
weird.
A platform so that your feet are still flat, but you're the same height.
No one's wearing them.
Comfort above all else, yes.
Yeah.
You're all safe.
So going back to when you first heard about the show, I remember when I first heard like bold type magazines, the cynical side of me is like, oh great, it's gonna be a cliche, overly saccharine, like it's done so many times, but I realized how stupid I was after like 2 minutes I'm like, oh my God, screaming in the subway, I have to do this now. But I'm curious, when you all first saw the scripts, what was your first reaction? Did you have, a pessimistic side where you're a little skeptical, like, oh, how good is this actually going to be?
Hey guys, do you think I'm skeptical and pessimistic? I am.
I was gonna be like, that doesn't sound like Aisha.
I was like, I don't need this basic feminism show. When my agents pitched it to me, they were like, we think this show would be great for you. And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, please just read the script, Aisha, and stop being such a pessimist. And I did, and I was really pleasantly surprised. And I think everyone watching had the same, or I imagine people watching had the same reaction. Because everyone's seen it. 3 girls trying to make it in New York. We've seen it. We've done it, So I'm really happy to be a part of something like this.
I think what was interesting to me when I read the script was, I mean, before this show, I was playing 16 for like years. And so I was like, I get to play my age? What? But I think that it's really interesting, Sex and the City explored, womanhood and women that kind of already had their careers established, had part of their life established, but were still figuring it out. But I don't really know of a show other than having already started in high school. Like, I feel like most shows start in high school and transfer into the 20s, and that's where it ends. But it's nice that our show is kind of showing these women navigating, finding their place and figuring out their lives and love and their careers and all of that. So I remember just sitting with the women from Freeform and them telling me about the show, and I was like, cool, how am I a part of it? Please?
I liked the first episode, but I think the second episode, I was like, oh, we're gonna pull an egg out of Katie's vagina? Okay. I mean, I had already signed up for the show at that point. But if I hadn't, I would have at that point. And when I say we, I mean Aisha.
Yeah, you're like, we did it.
And I was just kind of standing over like, oh my God.
I just started reading the scripts and I was like, why are people pulling things out of my vagina? Why am I the one orgasming on camera? Who was like in the writer's room was like, Katie's the one from the top.
Honestly, since, actually, literally as of like yesterday, so many women come up to me and they're like, the yoni egg scene. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But then they tell me their yoni egg story. Oh my God. You know? Everyone has like the diaphragm that was pulled out, or the tampon, or the whatever, you know. Yes, I was, literally yesterday, someone was telling I can't be the only one hearing these stories. Why do people feel so comfortable telling me these stories? But I feel like
you're an inspiration to us all now.
Yeah.
I guess. I hope so. Bless up. Thank you.
But Katie makes a great point. My next question is going to be is that the show is in such an interesting time in these women's lives. You're well out of teenhood, but you're still just right on the cusp of adulthood. And there aren't too many shows that really nail it correctly for me, because like I'm 24, it's like either I'm not Pretty Little Liars age, or I'm not 30 playing, you know, a high schooler, like you said. But were you all able to, you know, consult with the writers about your own personal experiences in this age frame, just in terms of not like work and journalism, but like maturity and relationships to help shade those scripts a little more?
I feel like it's a huge collaboration with the writers.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky on that front.
Yeah.
Especially this season, there's like a lot of communication. Every script comes out and we always have the chance to express ourselves and feel like we're being heard, and they make changes if there's something that we feel like is bumping us, or so it's pretty awesome.
I mean, at the start of a show when it's like just happening, I feel like it's one of those things when people ask you a question like, oh, well, what would you like to see happen? My mind immediately goes blank, because I'm like, I could not fathom even coming up with any of the stories that they come up with. So I'm like, you do your thing, and then like if there's a line
I'll just give you notes when you're done.
you do your thing, and then I'll just mess with the words.
No, they're great. It's a huge, I feel like everyone is kind of working together, and this is the first time that I've ever felt like on a show they ask for our opinions so much. They ask for our opinions all the time, and I think that that's why it works, because we're just three random 20-something girls that were thrown together, and we're playing three random 20-something girls that were thrown together in a magazine, and you know, usually we're playing high school at this point.
Yeah.
Every other show, it's like 20-somethings playing high school, but we're 20-somethings playing 20-somethings, and there's no ghosts or aliens.
I literally went from 16 to 25 overnight.
Perfect. Well, was there any example, obviously you can't talk about season 2, but of season 1 where you really advised the script and helped make those changes to make it more, you know, that you would consider like age, you know, your age range, age appropriate, that the writers maybe wouldn't have known?
I mean, we were pretty vocal about all of them, I feel like, because we like Aisha was saying, we understand what it is to be this age, and our writers are great about bringing that voice in, but we have the voices.
We were all a little bit nervous, excited about the finale of the first season. There was we had a lot of conversations about that, just because the subject matter is so sensitive, and it really mattered to us that we represented all of the topics in a way that we were all comfortable with. And Aisha really like spearheaded that.
That's a topic that I am very passionate about. And I actually did another show that really centered around that, called Sweet Vicious, and bring it back. And so it was really important to me that when we're telling the story about the weights, that we don't tell survivors what to do with their surviving and how to do it, you know, that we keep the conversation open, and it was really special to see it kind of come together. And I gave them some consultants. I said, you know, you can call these people, you know, for advice, and so that they can give their opinion too. And, you know, even in the yoni egg scene, and every scene, they always say, okay, this is a boogie take, where we essentially
do it really
kind of throw out, not throw out the words, but we kind of get to just talk like how we're talking now, instead of being word perfect all the time.
Meghann, I mean, they both know me so well, but Meghann in that scene knew me so well, because she ad-libbed the line that was like, all right, we're drunk on a beach. there's a pack of really cute puppies running towards you. And I looked at her and I was like, don't ruin puppies for me. And that was like a whole ad lib just between the two of us during a boogie take.
There was a promo that came out where she called me Kramer recently, and that was her improv in the scene, and I was like, Kramer, I look hot, don't call me Kramer.
It was great, but it was a Kramer outfit.
But I really do love puppies. I just cuddled with a dog on the floor before I walked on stage, so I hope I'm not wrinkled.
No. You look like trash.
Thank you.
Well, you bring up season 1, and I think maybe all the viewers realize this, and this was shot before you got renewed for 2 additional seasons, and it definitely gave off the vibe of like worst case scenario, and Freeform was crazy and didn't renew you. It could have been a series finale in a way, and I think it was you, Meghann, you did an interview afterwards where you said there was many changes. Don't worry, not a weird question coming. You said there were a few changes that were made, either in the scripts or when you were filming. Different scenarios were played out for the characters. So I'm curious, what were those potential scenarios that were being floated around?
Can we say that?
Freeform?
Anyone?
Yeah.
I think we can. It didn't happen.
I like
So
people
remember
getting
them.
back together, not getting back
Yeah, there
together,
was, like-
going somewhere.
Yeah. No,
Very
there was
specific.
that's a good example. Like Sutton and Richard, there was a version where they got back together at the end of the first season. And we shot both options, and then we did that for a couple of other things too, where we shot it 2 ways, and we didn't really know what they were going to use.
Yeah, like we shot a different ending where Jane stayed at Scarlet and someone else went to Insight.
Yeah.
And then my ending was me leaving and Pinstripe was walking in like he was going to get a job. And I was like, huh?
There were so many different versions.
There were so many different
Forgot about that.
versions, but I'm happy that like it ended up the way it did. Like I'm happy that Jane is at Insight.
They added in Kat going to see
Yeah.
Dina at the very last minute. Like, oh, by the way, you leave. And I was like, oh, dope, bye.
So you brought this up a bit, but something that I really like about the show is that it takes on a very like genuinely optimistic, lighthearted tone, and especially for our age range in particular, I feel like you look at a show like Girls and the Lena Dunham school of 20-something and we and depression, and you can only really get 1 or 2 episodes in without it just being really depressing and sad and showing like millennial women in New York. It's taken a real pessimistic tone lately. So I'm interested, do you think the show really benefited from keeping this really lighthearted spirit to it?
I mean, who wants to watch something and be sad all the time?
I do think it's a really
viewers.
hard balance, though, because I think something we're really proud about is we are discussing topics that are really important, that are happening now, but we're doing it in a way that feels accessible and relatable instead of it being like this one of those like clowns. It's just like it's. So I think that's a really hard balance to find, and I think our show does that. You know, so I think we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, and it centers around like how those topics affect the girls' friendship, and how they rise above those things, how they're there for each other, and I think going into season 2, I read a lot of comments from the fans when we got a new showrunner being like, "Don't ruin their friendship, don't make them backstab each other," and that's something that like our showrunner would never ever do. But that's something that's really important about the show, is that it showcases our friendship in a way that's really real. Like, girls, you don't normally backstab somebody and then immediately become best friends in the next episode. So they do it in a really realistic way.
The heart of the show is the 3 girls and how they, when one person is having a bad day, there's someone else there to be like, it's okay, here's a Midol. Literally right before we walked up here, I was like, guys, my back.
And I was like,
and
I like feeling my back.
Yeah, so, I mean, we do that for each other, and they do that for each other on the show, and, our shooting hours are crazy, so.
I cried on set the other day, and Aisha hugged me because I was so tired.
we were sitting there in like a hug for about 5 minutes straight, and then
she was like, "Are you okay?"
Monday.
I was like, "I'm so tired." And then we had to wake up at 4 to fly here.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Perfect. Well, on the topic of friendship, what do you think the Bold Type gets right about modern female friendships that we don't often see between women in pop culture these days?
That you can be powerful and you can be vulnerable all at once.
I think
yeah.
also that two people can win. Like you don't have to put someone else down so that you can get up. You can you can help someone else. You can both help each other.
You could climb the stairs together.
That's our answer. It's just a hand movement, but you guys get it.
But so the episode that I really, really liked this season was, of course, the Trump episode, and especially because I feel like certain shows, the Trump episode, Trump comes to town.
I was like, when was Trump in our episode? Yeah, the one where we're locked in the building. That was fun.
Yeah, and I thought it was particularly great because I feel shows these days, especially geared towards younger viewers, they don't really take an inherently political stance in fear of alienating certain viewers. But I would love to know, why do you all think it was important to tell that particular ramifications of Trump being in town narrative from the perspective of these women?
Because he's a trash fire. And by the way, we continue to berate him in season 2 as well.
Excellent.
Oh my God, I love you so much. Oh my God. Trash fire has become a part of the 3-hour vocabulary.
Trash fire.
Because of you.
They added dumpster fire to the dictionary a few weeks ago or a month ago.
Did they?
Yeah.
Dumpster fire. Mary.
Because of
Dumpster.
Meghann.
Is there credit?
They did a little asterisk, Meghann Fahy.
But to get back to
That didn't answer your question.
I loved it anyway.
that really literally is I mean, again, our show, we like to touch on things and issues that are going on in the world. You'll continue to see us do that in season 2, but it's also, let's talk about what's actually going on in our country. Let's talk about what we're actually being affected by. And we don't need to do that by hammering people over the head with Trump sucks. We don't have to say that out loud. Did we say that out loud? Kind of.
I didn't hear it.
But we can just acknowledge it as
How we
part of
feel
it,
about it.
and how we feel about it without, and I feel like we do that in a way where we're not really telling people how to feel and not really alienating people, but we're still touching on it.
We're telling just human stories.
Yeah.
And to be a human right now means to be a human in this political climate. That's a part of it, We're all feeling it. Everyone. Yeah.
And since our president loves to tweet so much at all hours of the day, if he were to see the episode, how do you hope he would respond to it?
I'm sure he'd find some way to
He
make it
would
work.
say,
Thanks, Bold Type.
he would be like, that episode was trash. I would really hope that he added trash fire to the end of it, but he wouldn't really want to pay homage, so.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to do Alec Baldwin for a second.
It was good.
That was me doing Alec Baldwin doing Trump.
Very meta. Whoa.
Well, it was the last time, so.
And are there any other political figures or prominent people in the news right now that you would be open to in a future episode or season to really lampoon them or do another pointed episode about them again? Because there are lots of people.
Honestly, I will say something. I don't like saying his name.
The man who shall not be named.
Yeah, I kind of don't like giving someone the power of being in 10 years when people watch this show, they're going to come,
Yeah.
I would rather
think
just,
better
tell
to talk
human
about the heroes.
Yeah, tell human stories and lift up the people who are actually bringing more light into my heart. Those are the people that I think we need to be saying their name more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, who would you like on your hero side then to see in a future episode?
Rihanna, Beyonce, Call Me Riri, also Meghan Markle.
The Duchess of Sussex.
A literal queen, princess.
She's the queen in my heart. I don't know. Did you guys see the choir?
I was trying to get my makeup done and sobbing.
We were playing Cotty and playing the highlights from the wedding and trying to concentrate on so many things at once.
It was so good.
It was a hectic morning, you guys.
What was the question?
Other heroes, Meghan Markle,
we do
Rihanna.
have Rachel Antonoff is going to be on our show. We have. Well, she's in a trailer, so I didn't really spoil it.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah, she
I
was
won't
great.
spoil the others then.
Love you, babe.
Spoil them.
What's up?
No, you didn't spoil anything.
Thank you.
You're doing great.
But in a lighter topic, let's talk about your on-screen booze and love interests. With all of these love interests, I know you can't really give spoiler-centric answers, but how? Oh, okay.
Just kidding, I
Wow. How confident should we be going into season 2 that you've made these connections and they're here to last for a while?
Well, it's TV, so there's a lot of ups and downs, but
It's so hard.
We can't say anything.
It's really hard because we were told, guys, you gotta stop giving so many spoilers. They didn't say
We were
it
given
was me.
talking points, and we'd have none of them on stage.
I will say, so in season 1, Sutton was trying to choose between her personal life and her love life, and she does make that decision in season 2, and she sort of deals with the consequences of that throughout the season. That's a big part of her arc.
That was a very good way to answer that question.
Honestly, Jane left season 1 a free bird, so you might see her be a free bird.
With other free birds.
Well, we saw Kat go see Adina, and they climbed some mountains together. We know that much. And then I think season 2, you've seen Adina in the promos, so you know she's back in New York, and we're gonna get to see them be together and
Meet the parents. That was
meet the parents.
That was in a trailer.
Really, I think
I'm like,
for
what was
Kat,
in a
you get to
trailer?
see her in her first relationship, period, which I definitely identify with because I'm not really the relationship type either, and it's it's different when you're in your 20s and you're doing it for the first time and you didn't, kind of go there in high school or whatever. So I think it'll be really interesting for people. I think people will be very happy because there's
very
no
happy.
shortage of
Sex.
Thank you. This is my translator, Meghann Fahy.
Well, with 2 of the characters' relationships, Sutton and Jane, Sutton dates, someone superior at her work and someone also kind of like her equal in the office. And Jane also dates someone who is in the organization, not directly at her magazine. But it is 2018, especially with everything that's been going on with Me Too. When you approach season 2, what kind of conversations were you having about to best approach that type of movement? And were any, with the romances in particular, or with the work the ladies do with the magazine, were certain narratives tweaked and altered a bit to better suit this movement? I'd just love to know how you all will be approaching it in this coming season.
I would say, like we said before, the finale episode, it was really important to us to be really sensitive about the topic and continuing to be sensitive about the topic. I think that it was important to not really be like, well, there's a Me Too movement, let's just put another Me Too story into it.
We were before the Me Too movement.
But we were before the Me Too movement. When our show aired, that was before the Harvey Weinstein, before any of that stuff happened. So it was weird to kind of be ahead of it. But I don't really think that
we do kind of touch on it again.
Yeah, we touch on it, but it's not something where it happens to one of us or something like that. Unless I'm wrong, I might have a brain fart right now.
I think we treat every storyline with the most care. It doesn't matter whose relationship it is, whether it's a romantic relationship or platonic or gay, straight. Everything is treated with the most care. And I think that happens on all fronts. The writers treat it with a lot of care. We all, as a group, care so much. I know even our crew, they care so much. And we have the fucking best
crew.
Am I allowed to swear? We have the fucking best crew ever. They're bomb. And they all
And they all speak French.
They all speak French, and they're also like invested too. And you know, one of our ADs the other day was telling me about her daughter had just come out to her, and like she was saying how, you know, watching the show that kind of inspired her. Like that's, yeah, and like that is the most special thing. And even they will comment and they'll say how they feel about things. And I'm always even asking, like, you know, if people come up on the street, I'm like, what do you think about this? Because it's a conversation, and now with social media, people are able to say how they feel, and our network is listening.
Yeah.
They're listening, and the writers are listening, and it's a new way to communicate that didn't exist before. Like, we're the first generation to have that tool. And I think it's really special, and I think it's why a show like this is possible, because we're filming right now, and we're premiering at the same time, which is fun times for the whole family.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of airplanes.
Well, but it's also, I was talking to the writers too, it's great that we know we also have a season 3, so they can end season 2 like crazy and pick it up, pick up all the pieces. I say this without knowing what happens in 10, because we haven't gotten that script, so.
I keep hearing rumors, and I'm like, you guys, please be careful with me.
Well, you mentioned social media, and something that I found interesting is that in a very social media age, showrunners like Marlene King for Pretty Little Liars was very open about how social media and people's responses on Twitter and Facebook helped shape the narratives that she and the writers actually would pen to the scripts, and it was like a huge point for her. Are the writers the same in that regard? Like, do you look at the responses on Twitter and be like, oh, these people are shipping these, you know, or they liked this story, we should probably do more of those?
I think it's information.
Yeah.
I think they take it into account.
Yeah. I mean, what I will say is, like, it's not, I know as a viewer of other shows, you always want those two people that you ship to be together, but that's not an interesting show to watch. You have to, like, break it up and mess it up and put it back together and mess it up again.
I'd like Kat and Adina to just sit on the beach, sip rosé, or Kat will sip rosé. Adina will have
that's also what you want to do in real life.
And that's the end of it. And then there's a nice sun that's going across the horizon. We need drama. We need some drama, because life isn't perfect. Life is really messy. Especially when you're in your 20s, it's messy as hell. And that's the show too. We're honest, you know, imperfect, and still like waking up the next day and going and doing it again. And,
But going to Kat and Adina, or Kadina, I believe that's the official couple name on social media. I could be wrong.
No, you're right. That's it.
There hasn't been.
I've heard of it.
It's so beautiful to watch, like such a coming out story, for Kat like that. That's handled with such like sensitivity and humor. What has the response like been to you after like the relationship unfolded throughout the past season, and how did you as an actor prepare for that type of storyline?
I mean, the response is incredible. I was not expecting it. I'm a tiny bit of a cynic, so I was kind of like, yeah, people aren't gonna watch it. We're gonna get canceled. Shit, like, because
She does that with everything, by the way. She's like, Good Morning America. They're probably joking.
Yeah. Vulture Fest. I won't believe it until we're on that stage.
I just like Sweet Vicious. I loved so much, and then like it went away, and I was like, oh damn it. And the same with like the things that I've loved, and so I have a little protection, shield. And it's fine.
But we're here.
But I wasn't expecting it. I didn't go into it like, oh, people are gonna love this and it's gonna become this huge thing. But I've been so happy to see it and to meet people and hear people's stories. And Adina, the character of Adina, is the first of her kind, really, I think, on TV. And Nicole is so amazing and so perfect for it, because she really does the research, and she knows where Adina's from, where she grew up, where her parents are from. Like, she knows the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, it's been incredible. And it was really important to me that it not be like this heart-wrenching, oh my God, am I gay, am I bi? Like, because that's not how I think people operate these days, especially not these girls. You're just like, oh, cool, I think I like a girl. Well, that's crazy. Like, if one of my friends said to me, I made out with a girl for the first time last night, I'd be like, what was it like? That's amazing. I wouldn't be like, oh, well, are you looking at me differently now, you know? And the scene in the fashion closet, it was really important. At the end of the scene, I was like, I'm gonna slap you on the ass. And she was like, cool. so she like poked it out ready for me. Yeah.
I mean, if you don't know, now you know, but I'm captain of the Kadena ship. But I think that's also because I worked on a show that was so heavily in the LGBT community as well. So like, I love that storyline and they do it so well. And it is important to make it not this like really taboo thing, and they do it so effortlessly, so.
Yeah, the writers have been great. Everyone's kind of on the same page, so. I don't worry about that. It's great. I love like the process. My cynical side comes when, you know, when it comes to like showing the world. I'm like, oh no, what will people think? I hope they like it. You know?
Yeah.
But that's just because I care a lot. Yeah.
And Meghann, with the relationship,
Sorry.
like, oh, sorry.
It's just, this is, you know, is it okay?
Oh, no.
You're killing it.
You're killing it, yes. With the relationship, like, you know, Sutton and Richard, what type of conversations did you and Sam have, you know, when you began filming? Because it's even though it is, you know, an office romance, it is handled with care and it is very unique in its own right. It's not like, you know, your typical, like, oh, subordinate boss type of thing. There are many layers to it. So what did you two really want to shine through on the screen with that type of relationship?
Well, I think what was really important to both of us is that they see each other as equals. He treats her, you know, as such, and vice versa. The hardest part about the relationship are obviously the circumstances, but I think we also wanted to go against what could easily have been like another kind of tired storyline of a young woman dating an older man. But I think that we really wanted to represent two people who have a genuine connection, who really care about each other, who under other circumstances would be together. I think that's more interesting than the other options, which we've seen played out before, so.
Yeah. But in the lighter question, you actually mentioned the fashion closet, and I'd be remiss if I did not ask about the beautiful fashion of the show. So I guess, what do you think, well, first of all, did you get to keep any of the clothes?
Never.
No.
Never?
I borrowed this from them. Just this skirt.
We beg, we borrow,
I steal.
sometimes steal.
Yeah, I wish.
Don't tell them, because then none of us get to.
But what would you consider like the defining outfit for each of your characters that really like defines your character to the T, if you can pick one, and why?
I mean, I do a lot of like skirts and button downs, but it was important to me moving forward in this season, because I feel like, you know, I talked to the writers about wanting Jane to fail and wanting her to be a little less perfectionistic, and I wanted that to like kind of reflect in how she started dressing. So I get to wear more pants. I guess that's the way we showcase that, is I just start wearing pants.
She can do some high kicks and
I can do some
now.
high kicks. I get to about here and then it's over. You guys?
Yeah, what about you two?
I feel like the thing that I love about Kat's style in particular is that she kind of does whatever she wants, and that is very similar to how she kind of moves through the world. She takes a lot of risks and colors and patterns and kind of playing with different shapes and oversized blazers, and I was wearing some sneakers yesterday that are they make me feel very fancy. They're very expensive. I thought, oh, maybe I'll buy them for myself, and then I Googled how much they were, and I was like, nope.
Stealing them, yes.
I wish I could steal them. I'm not that crafty.
Crafty bitch. Do not listen to her. She is so crafty.
Oh God, what's like one different? The silver boots that everyone loves.
The baked potato boots.
Baked potato boots. They're gone. They went away, and I'm glad. They were, we didn't need them anymore.
I don't know. I feel like Sutton doesn't have a specific thing because she works in fashion. She's always wearing crazy stuff. So I don't really know what I would say is like her signature thing. I think sometimes.
Can I say one of my favorite things that she wears this season? The like high neck with the overalls.
Oh, that's crazy. See, and I still don't even know. Like that might look crazy.
Good.
It's like bell bottom.
I like sat behind camera and just like stared at her and like
It's really intense.
took pictures of her behind the monitors.
It's like this turtleneck and it like buttons all the way up to my chin. It kind of looks like if the button's open, my head's gonna fall off.
It's like very William Shakespeare.
And I was like, I don't know anything about fashion, so I'm just gonna say yes to all of it. But it could.
I love a turtleneck.
I love a turtleneck, I love overalls, and it was all of that in one, and it was perfect.
Yeah, it was quite amazing.
Yeah.
They always have us in great stuff that none of us can afford.
Yeah.
One of the things that I just like looking at as a New Yorker is that you film in Montreal, in Canada, but you do a few exterior shots, like you were in Central Park.
Yes.
What are some of the unique challenges of recreating New York City in Canada that you've stumbled into the past few seasons?
The buses that are in French that go by.
All of the exit signs that say sortie.
Sortie.
Cover them up. Did I do that with an Italian accent again?
Yes. So
Thank you. I was trying to say
she
French.
goes baguette. But yeah, just like the buses that say Montreal, or I was really impressed with our like VFX team because we shot some of the Central Park stuff in a park called Parc La Fontaine in Montreal, and they superimposed the New York skyline behind it. But like when I watched it, I didn't even realize it. It was just as if we had shot it in Central Park.
Yeah, they can do amazing stuff with this technology.
It's crazy. I remember seeing the subway. I'm like, that's far too clean for Manhattan.
Well, that was Toronto.
That
was
really bummed
Toronto.
me out.
Yeah.
I don't
She
think
lives
anybody
here.
else cared, but
I can.
yeah. I just think you can't fake a New York subway. There's just nothing
Need the
compares
pizza
to
rat.
it.
Where were the
So
rats?
specifically falling apart.
Notice how we have had no other subway scenes since that one.
Yeah. Oh, that was such an epic night. Now I'm like having flashback memories ever since you brought it up. Like that was.
We could go down to like another subway and do it again.
Right by
I'm
West.
good, thanks. I don't need to put those things on my feet again. Yeah.
What can you tell us about season 2 in terms of career breakthroughs, romantic breakthroughs? Just give us all of the gossip you can.
You're gonna see Jane at Insight, and you're gonna see her kind of realize what she left behind when she left Scarlet, and having to deal with that and face that. And she meets a hot doctor.
Oh, hot dog. With an accent.
And he's from Australia.
I want a scene with us together, just like really hamming up the accent, like, yeah, mate, you know what? I gotta tell you, like, that's what I need.
You know what's really funny about him though is at first they were gonna have him do an American accent.
Poor thing.
And then they wanted him to do his Australian one. He got like insecure. He was like, but I don't know if it's good.
So his name is Luca James Lee, and he's wonderful. But the first scene we did together, they like hadn't decided if they were gonna have him be Australian or American. So our director would go, okay, this time with an accent, and then he would do it, and he was like, this time without an accent, and he leaned to me, he was like, okay, I don't think he realizes with an accent is American for me, and without an accent is Australian. And then like by the end of the day, it was just like a hodgepodge of both accents melding into one. But he's Australian in it.
And very sweet.
He's Australian and he's Australian in it.
Mm-hmm. We have a body positivity episode.
Oh.
That I'm really, really, really excited about.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah.
We all picked something personally in our real lives that we wanted to like say,
hey, I
this
have
is
these
something
stretch
where
marks.
We have.
yeah, that we are sometimes insecure about, but we wanted to share it. And so that was really exciting for us. We had a really nice time doing that.
Yeah.
Great.
Pinstripe comes back.
Perfect. I'm not gonna say it. It was gonna be a spoiler.
Yeah, no.
I'm just gonna be silent.
You meet your parents and your
You
mom.
meet my mom,
Oh yeah.
which is really fun.
Road trip.
Like, really fun.
We go on a road trip.
And someone's about to jump on stage and take us away because we're about to.
Yeah.
I will keep the spoilers at bay then. But as promised, I'm now turning it over to you all for question time. I don't know, do we have a microphone situation? Great. Just remember to keep the questions short, no statements,
I see
please.
one hand.
And we will.
Stand, please.
Oh yeah, please. If you have a question, maybe are they lining up?
Girls.
Hi. You're beautiful.
Thank you. You're beautiful. You're all beautiful. Thank you.
I'm doing this. I just wanted
First of all,
to-
congratulations on the show. It's amazeballs. Love it. So the question that I had for all three of you, if you can answer, are you connected to your character on a certain level, and how has your character since doing season 1 changed you personally, like as yourself? Like, how has it affected you, inspired you, made you better, made you look into things deeper, all that stuff? Yeah. Thank you.
People are always saying to me like, I want to be more like Kat, and I'm like, me too. I know I play her, but like, I'm not. Oh, did my microphone just go?
No,
Oh
it's
no,
right there.
it's still here. Yeah, so I feel very inspired by my character, and I think I'm learning things from her. She's making observations about love and relationships, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's so true. That's a nice thought. Absolutely, art blends into life and vice versa, I think.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say?
Oh, okay. Yes, no, I actually, especially professionally, because I feel like Sutton has a lot of, that's like a big theme for her, like asserting herself. You know, in season 1, she goes to Oliver and she asks him for perks because he doesn't have a budget to pay her. And that kind of thing is actually completely inspiring to me. And it does inspire me to move through my own career with the courage to ask for what I need and not be afraid of seeming needy for doing it or whiny for doing it or bitchy for doing it. And any time that I have spoken up, it has been very well received because the people who run our show are always so supportive of us doing that. So, but I think of Sutton all the time in those moments.
Yeah. I am very much like Jane in a sense where I am type A, I'm perfectionist, and I fail all the time. And it was important for me to kind of have Jane's evolution kind of go in that way. So you're definitely going to see her fail in season 2.
And succeed.
But I also, I'm like old and married now. Not really married, but I like the fact that I get to kind of, in a weird way, have like my weird sexual 20s with Jane. But I am very happily engaged to a wonderful, wonderful man.
She's gonna be a
And none of the
wifey.
sexual stuff is real, Paul, if you're watching.
Hope not.
Yes, who is next? Oh, in the front.
Hi, first of all, I just love the show. And I just wanted to ask, I just wanted to ask the kind of like casting, like the chemistry, just between like you three, how did that work? Like, did you guys get along right away? Like how, in the beginning of season?
We cannot stand each other. No, I'm kidding, I'm joking. By the way, your boots are amazing.
That's what we were looking at.
They're so cute.
Well, so for example, when we were auditioning for the show, Aisha and I did have the opportunity to read scenes together in what is literally called a chemistry read. So I remember Katie was not there that day, But I remember sitting on the couch in the room that we were in where the couches were. And I remember like there was 3 or 4 girls who were auditioning for Sutton and same for Kat. And we were all very chatty, and there were so many lovely girls in the room that day. But I will say, I remember looking at Aisha and being like, I really hope that it's me and her who get to do it, because I just fell hard for her right away. So.
And I don't know why they didn't have me there.
You were at a wedding, you were like, guys, I can't make it.
No, I was on a family vacation, I think. Family's important.
Too busy for us.
Yeah, no, I remember I had just gotten cast, and then they had done auditions, and I was like, damn it, I really wish that I was there. And I was like texting the executive producer, like, when you cast them, give me their emails and phone numbers. And like, I think I like found them on Instagram.
You found me on Twitter. I remember doing it. Hi. I was like, okay, all right. This is the first time I've checked my Twitter in a month, and I'm so glad I did.
and they immediately learned that I'm exactly like Jane, because I was like, so, the day before we go to shoot, my boyfriend is playing a concert in New York, and you guys should come, and we'll have like a night out on the city, like the girls. And so they both, you live here, but she flew in a day early, and we went to a Boys Like Girls concert.
And it was awesome.
It was so fun. We clicked like right away. We were like sitting on the floor with our...
We were like cuddling with each other on the floor.
Fun fact, a lot of the photos from that night, the first night we met at the concert, are sprinkled throughout the set.
Yeah.
Which is really sweet.
Yeah.
And they put little like banana stickers, like illustrated all over the photos. It was very cute.
Yeah.
Thank God though, because we have to spend so much time with one another. If I didn't like them or if they didn't like me, that would be really awful.
That being said, we do sometimes say like, you're annoying, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's real friendship, guys.
It is.
That's how
I
you
just
know
can't
it's
talk to you right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go nap.
Yeah.
Well, how long is filming for all of you first season? Is it 6 months, 5 months?
It's about 5-6 months.
We're shooting, we're shooting till November.
Like 3.5
Like 8 months.
per season.
Yeah. Well, this stint is like 8 months because we're doing both.
Yeah.
I don't know what day it is, so. What is it, 2018, I think?
All right, next question. Yes, in the front here. Oh, microphone.
There's some people in the middle, too.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, love the show. Thanks for being here today. So I wanted to ask if there are portrayals of women in television or examples from your own life that you can have used to inform your characters to like create who they are.
I just like knew right away. First season, the costume designer and we were like trolling Instagram trying to find who Kat would be, and we decided it's Elaine
Wentroth
from Teen Vogue. We decided that's who her style inspiration was, and then I've watched a lot of Insecure over and over and over and over again, and that's a show that characters from that show kind of inform Kat a little bit. For me.
I mean, I watched like a lot of Devil Wears Prada and like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, but like it was more so just to kind of watch what other, films and television, like how I watched Younger too, just to kind of see how they do the portrayal of a magazine, to kind of be like, how can we do that differently? How can I be a different character to these other women? But I'm going to be that cliche person and answer your question about like people who inspire me, and I'm that cliche person who will say my mom. Oh, yes. No.
FaceTimed with my mom on the way here. She was wearing the beret. You guys, my mom just bought a beret and it's the cutest thing. It's so cute. It's so cute.
Yeah. But my parents have supported me doing this crazy thing since I was, all of our parents kind of have supported us in our crazy dreams. But my mom, her love was being a mom and raising us and letting us go off and do what we love, but she's always been a really strong, empowered person who makes me demand respect from others and ask for what I want, and I feel like that's what these girls do. So I had a really great example of that growing up, so I was kind of able to bring that into this character and hopefully bring that into my life as I move forward and grow up and get married and have kids and all that fun adult stuff.
Wow.
Which is far away. It's far away.
I'm flat out doing the dishes. I'm like, this is so hard.
I have trouble with the dishes too. I cook, you clean.
What about you, Meghann?
I don't remember what the question is. I think...
Inspirations behind your character.
You know, I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't really have like a specific person. I always hate this question because I feel like I should have like a list of... I'm inspired by so many people in my life all the time, every day. But for Sutton, there really isn't something specific.
I feel like I'm just playing a version of myself.
Yeah.
A version of myself.
Yeah.
Just as important, yeah. We have time for one more question. I can't even see anyone with this light. I think I see a sparkly jacket.
Yes.
Yes.
My question is... Oh, sorry. I forgot that I needed this. Whoa.
Hey.
Hello. Hey, Devin.
Hey.
What's a way in which you hope The Bold Type inspires other TV shows or ultimately impacts the TV landscape?
Does it? Do we? We do?
I would say yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Sweet. I hope it does.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in terms of female friendship, like growing up, the shows that I watched, again, like girls were belittling each other and backstabbing each other to try to get ahead, and you know, people, not that that doesn't...
Yeah, we don't really have villains on the show. Like, we don't vilify people. We don't write bitchy characters, really. And I think that that is new and exciting.
Which is
So
weird
if
that
anything,
that's
I think
new.
that's something that our show is kind of...
Yeah, and you know, it's fun to... I feel like our friendship is really integrated into, you know, we are integrated into our characters, therefore our friendship. And hopefully we can put that into the world and, you know, show people that you can, like Meghann said, you can succeed without stepping each other, you could climb the stairs together.
And creating characters that are diverse in more ways than just one, and not just being, you know, we all need to see ourselves reflected. And I hate the whole like diversity thing, because it's like, yes, we get it, we need diversity, fine, whatever, we've had this conversation. But there is a way to create characters that are diverse in ways that we haven't seen before, you know, and kind of push the envelope a little bit more, having a queer woman of color, or, you know, I keep mentioning it to them, but we would really like to see more trans characters and non-binary, and kind of having that conversation, see it expanded, you know, because diversity is so much more than just a color thing. It's about so much more than that. It's about, you know, being able-bodied, not being able-bodied, how you identify, you know, there's so much to explore, and I hope that the fact that we are exploring that on this show pushes other shows to kind of step up their game too. Yeah, hopefully. But I don't know if we're is anyone listening? Hello?
That was so cute.
Oh, stop.
I liked that answer.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks, kid.
And with that, our panel ends. So give it up for the ladies of the Bold Type.